Everything you have learned until now is true. It is powerful. It will change the way you walk through the world. But it is incomplete. There is a final layer, a secret so counterintuitive and dangerous that Machiavelli himself only hinted at it in his private letters. A secret that separates the merely powerful from the truly untouchable. I warned you this was a dark path. But you are not ready for the twist waiting in the shadows. For the last 6 sections, we have operated on one core assumption, that disrespect is a test of power. That every slight is a probe, every joke a hidden blade, every interruption a challenge to your status. This is the map I have given you. But what if the map is wrong? What if the entire game is a distraction? Let me tell you a story about 2 kings. The first king, let's call him Aurelius, mastered everything we have discussed. He became a fortress. His silence was devastating. His consistency was legendary. He enforced his respect with cold, calculated precision. His court feared him. His enemies respected him. And he died alone in his marble palace, poisoned by his most loyal advisor, a man who could no longer bear the constant weight of the king's impeccable standards. The second king, a man history barely remembers named Lysander, took a different path. He was known for his occasional, startling vulnerability. He would sometimes let a slight slide from a young, ambitious courtier. He would, at times, laugh at a joke that was unmistakably at his expense. His advisors would whisper, "The king is weak today." But they were wrong. Lysander was not weak. He was a gardener. While King Aurelius saw his court as a battlefield to be dominated, King Lysander saw it as an ecosystem to be cultivated. His occasional, strategic weakness was not a failure to enforce his power. It was the deliberate pruning of a garden. This is the secret. The ultimate power is not in enforcing perfection, but in strategically managing imperfection. Here is the moral that will sound like madness. Sometimes, you must allow a small, controlled amount of disrespect to flourish, so you can see who is foolish enough to pluck the fruit. Think about that. Let it unravel everything you think you know. When you enforce every boundary with robotic consistency, you create a court of fearful, obedient subjects. But you also blind yourself. You never learn who the true snakes are because they are too afraid to strike. You live in a clean, sterile, and utterly fragile kingdom. But when you very rarely and with absolute calculation leave a single gate unguarded, you see who tries to sneak in. That co-worker you let interrupt you just once, to see if they would do it again with gusto. That friend you allowed to make a borderline joke, to see if they would escalate. That family member whose dismissive comment you let hang in the air, just to observe who in the room nodded in agreement. These are not failures of your protocol. They are intelligence operations. You are feeding a small, controlled piece of your power into the ecosystem to see which predators are brave enough to take the bait. The suspense is not in the confrontation. The real suspense is in the waiting. It is in the silent observation that follows your strategic lapse. It is in watching, with cold, detached curiosity, to see who reveals their true nature when they think the sovereign has looked away. This is the one rule Machiavelli was too cautious to write plainly. A perfect defense reveals nothing. A calculated weakness reveals everything. The true master doesn't just shut down disrespect. They use it. They weaponize it. They become the scientist in the lab of human nature, and the disrespectful are their unwitting test subjects. This is the highest, most dangerous level of the game. It requires a level of self-assurance so profound that you can afford to appear momentarily human. It requires the wisdom to know that not every weed needs to be pulled. Some should be left to grow just long enough to identify all the other weeds connected to its root system. So I leave you with this final, haunting question, a question that should linger in your mind and change how you interpret every interaction from this day forward. Is the disrespect you face a test of your power, or are you, in fact, testing them? The answer to that question is what separates the player from the puppet master. The game you thought you were playing is over. The real game has just begun. To defeat your enemy, you must first understand its nature. And most people have a child's understanding of disrespect. They think it's a punch to the face, loud, obvious, and direct. But that's the amateur version. That's disrespect for dumb people. The disrespect that actually destroys your life is a poison, not a bomb. It's administered in microdoses. It's the coworker who accidentally forgets to include you in the crucial email chain. It's the friend who always backhandedly compliments your success. I'm so glad things are working out for you, especially after all your early struggles. It's the family member who dismisses your life choices with a condescending, "Well, I just want you to be happy." It's the partner who uses humor as a license for cruelty and then gaslights you with, "Can't you take a joke?" This is the real game. It's a slow, insidious process of erosion. Let me map out the predictable, four-stage attack pattern. Stage 1. The probe. This is the initial, seemingly harmless test. A light tease about your clothes. A playful jab at your idea. They are watching your reaction with the focus of a scientist. Your response here sets the entire trajectory. If you smile, if you laugh along, you have just given them a green light. Stage 2. The escalation. Emboldened, the jokes become sharper. The interruptions become more frequent. They might start forgetting promises made to you. Each act is just small enough that if you confront it, you look like the irrational one. Why are you so sensitive? It was just a joke. This is strategic plausibility. Stage 3. The normalization. This is where the pattern solidifies. You are now their established, safe target. They know they can dump their frustrations on you, dismiss your contributions, and use you as an emotional punching bag. Because you've trained them that there are no consequences. Stage 4. The enlistment. This is the final, devastating stage. Others see how this person treats you without repercussion. It signals to the entire tribe that you are low status. Soon, you might find others starting to mimic the behavior. You become the collective punching bag. This pattern has destroyed careers, shattered self-esteem, and trapped incredible people in lives of quiet desperation. They thought their kindness was a shield. It became their cage. Machiavelli operated in a world where a single show of weakness could mean exile or death. He didn't have the luxury of illusions. In The Prince, he wrote, "A man who is used to acting in one way never changes. He must come to ruin when the times, in changing, no longer are in harmony with his ways." Your way has been harmony and tolerance. But the times, the environment you're in, are filled with people who see harmony as weakness. Your consistent behavior is now working against you. The painful truth that society doesn't want you to hear is this: silence in the face of disrespect is not maturity. It is permission. Laughter at a joke at your expense is not being a good sport. It is signing a contract that says, you may disrespect me. When you let something slide, just this once, you are not being understanding. You are teaching them that your boundaries are written in sand, and you are showing them that you do not value yourself enough to defend your own dignity. This is the foundational error. The people who command respect aren't luckier or born with some magical charisma. They simply understand this hidden language of power. They see the subtle testing for what it is, and they respond not with emotion, but with strategy. While most people are playing checkers, reacting to each immediate move, the powerful are playing chess. They are thinking 3 moves ahead, building a reputation that serves them for a lifetime. It's time for you to learn chess. Here is your new behavioral toolkit. These are not reactions. They are calculated, premeditated strategies. Strategic silence, the power of the void. Your first and most devastating weapon is not a word, but the absence of one. But you must understand the critical difference between weak silence and strategic silence. Weak silence is when you are stunned, hurt, or afraid. You don't respond because you can't. This type of silence screams victim. People can smell the fear, and it is like blood in the water. Strategic silence is a conscious, cold choice. You are not speechless. You are choosing to withhold your speech. You are making them wait in the void they created. The execution. Someone makes a disrespectful comment. Instead of firing back, you become a statue. You stop talking. You turn your head slowly and look at them. Not with anger, but with a neutral, almost curious expression, as if you've just encountered a bizarre insect. You let the silence stretch. 3 seconds. 5 seconds, 10 seconds. The psychology. In that vacuum, their brain goes into overdrive. Their comment hangs in the air, naked and awkward. They expected a reaction, anger, defense, laughter, and you gave them nothing. The discomfort they feel is their own behavior being reflected back at them. They are forced to sit in the consequence of their actions without you having to say a word. They will often try to fill the silence with backtracking, excuses, or nervous laughter, further revealing their weakness. Machiavelli said, "Since love and fear can hardly exist together, if we must choose between them, it is far safer to be feared than loved." This silence creates a subtle, potent fear, the fear of the unknown. They cannot read you. They cannot predict you. And unpredictable people are dangerous people. This is where people betray themselves daily. They set a boundary on Monday and let it crumble on Tuesday. They defend themselves once and expect the world to remember. This is fantasy. Boundaries are not statements you make. They are consequences you consistently enforce. Human behavior is like water. It always flows toward the path of least resistance. If your boundaries are porous, people will flood through them. If your standards are negotiable, they will be negotiated down to nothing. The people you respect most in life are inevitably consistent. You know exactly how they will react to certain behaviors. This predictability is not boring. It is powerful. It means people don't have to guess. They know that disrespecting you will have a specific, unpleasant outcome. This knowledge causes them to police their own behavior around you. If someone interrupts you, every single time, you stop speaking and let them finish. Then you say, "As I was saying before I was interrupted," and continue precisely where you left off. No anger, just a cold, factual correction. If someone makes a joke at your expense, every single time, your face remains a neutral mask. No smile. No laugh. You do not acknowledge the joke in any way. You simply continue the conversation as if it never happened. If someone is chronically late, every single time, you start without them. If you said you would leave at 7 p.m., you leave at 7 p.m. No exceptions. You are building a reputation, brick by brick. Each consistent enforcement is another brick in the fortress wall around your dignity. This is the advanced class. When someone disrespects you, your response should not be equal to their action. It should be disproportionate. Because an equal response is forgettable. An argument is just an argument. A retaliatory joke is just banter. But a disproportionate consequence is unforgettable. It creates a lasting memory that cauterizes the desire to disrespect you again. This does not mean violence or screaming. It means a consequence that is so potent and memorable that it fundamentally alters their cost-benefit analysis of messing with you. The execution. Scenario. A friend consistently makes you the butt of jokes in your social group. Standard response. Make a joke back. Result. The game continues. Disproportionate consequence. The next time they do it, you look at them with dead calm and say nothing, protocol number 1. Later, you simply withdraw. You become politely distant. You stop initiating contact. You decline invitations if they will be there. You offer no explanation. When they ask what's wrong, you simply say, "I've just been re-evaluating my time and priorities." You have made yourself scarce. The punishment is the removal of your presence. They expected a small skirmish. You gave them a cold war. The message is clear. The cost of your disrespect is the permanent degradation of our relationship. Your actions are critical, but your aura is everything. You must craft an image, an unspoken reputation, that makes people think twice before they even consider disrespecting you. This is built through 1,000 small signals. Your posture, the calm, measured pace of your speech, the unshakable composure when under pressure, the way you don't seek approval, the way you value your own time so highly that others start to value it too. You become a person who is perceived as having better things to do than engage in petty dramas. Someone whose respect is a valuable currency, not a given right. Become selective. Be very careful about who gets your warmth, your time, and your vulnerability. Scarcity creates value. Never chase. Do not chase people for attention, replies, or validation. Let them come to you. Your energy is a kingdom. Do not let beggars storm the gates. Master your energy. Avoid high drama and emotional outbursts. Maintain a calm, steady, and slightly reserved demeanor. The most dangerous animal in the jungle is not the one that screams the loudest, but the one that watches in quiet stillness. You want people to feel a subtle, instinctual tension when they consider being disrespectful, a gut feeling that says, "This is not a safe target." Affirmation for the comments: my presence speaks before I do. This is the ultimate shift in perspective. Stop taking disrespect personally. Start treating it as the most valuable intelligence report you will ever receive on someone's true character. Every act of disrespect is a data point. It tells you everything you need to know about their integrity, their insecurities, and their real opinion of you. Who disrespects you when you succeed? That's envy. Who disrespects you only in private? That's cowardice. Who disrespects you to your face but is sweet in public? That's manipulation. Who gets angry when you start enforcing boundaries? That's a person who benefited from your lack of them. Machiavelli advised, keep your friends close and your enemies closer. But first, you must know who your enemies are. Disrespect is their identification badge. This intelligence allows you to make strategic decisions. You now know who to never trust with a secret, who to avoid on important projects, and who to slowly phase out of your life. You are no longer a victim of their behavior. You are an analyst using it to your advantage. To fully master this, you need to get inside their heads. The vast majority of disrespect is not about you. It is about them. It is a projection of their own insecurity, their hunger for status, their unhealed wounds. You are just the convenient screen they are projecting their movie onto. The insecure, they tear you down to feel taller. The status seeker, they use you as a stepping stone to elevate themselves in the group's hierarchy. The fearful, they try to dim your light because your brightness exposes their own dimness. The habitual predator, they test everyone. They have a mental map of who is safe to attack. You are currently marked in green. Here is the beautiful, shocking secret. Most people who dish out disrespect cannot handle receiving it. They are aggressors, not warriors. Their entire strategy is built on targeting those they perceive as weak. When you respond not with weakness, not with blind rage, but with the cold, calculated protocols we've discussed, you completely shatter their worldview. They expected you to flinch. You stood still. They expected you to cry. You went silent. They expected a small argument. You delivered a life-altering consequence. Their software has no patch for this. They become confused, frustrated, and often, they will simply retreat and find easier prey. You have made yourself an incompatible target. This understanding is your emotional armor. When you see their disrespect as the pathetic, predictable reflex that it is, it loses its power to hurt you. You stop feeling insulted and start feeling analytical. This transformation will not happen overnight. There will be tests. Old acquaintances will try to drag you back into the old dynamics. You will be tempted to revert just to keep the peace. Do not falter. Every time you enforce a boundary, you are building your legacy. Every time you respond with strategic silence, you are forging your new identity. Every disproportionate consequence you deliver is a landmark on your map to power. Over time, something miraculous will happen. Your reputation will begin to precede you. People will hear that you are not to be tested, that you are firm, fair, but utterly unyielding on matters of respect. And then the dynamic shifts completely. People will start treating you with respect by default. They will sense the invisible fence around your dignity and they will not dare to cross it. You will stop attracting predators and start attracting allies. Your relationships will be cleaner, your professional life sharper, your self-respect unshakable. You will have become a sovereign of your own life. This is your new path. Walk it with courage. Now, I have a final mission for you. The most important one. In the comments, I want you to write these 3 words. This is your declaration of independence from disrespect. Right? I am a sovereign. Go ahead. I'll be reading them. You now possess the protocols. You understand the psychology. But the final, most critical battle is not fought in boardrooms or social circles. It is fought within the architecture of your own mind. True power is not just a set of tactics, it is an operating system. It is the sovereign's framework, an unbreakable triad of principles that transforms these strategies from something you do into someone you are. The first pillar, unshakable internal reference. The moment you outsource your self-worth to the opinions of others, you have already lost. The sovereign's validation comes from within. Their meter for respect is not calibrated by how others treat them, but by how faithfully they uphold their own standards. When you are grounded in your own value, disrespect does not shatter you. It merely reveals the other person's inability to recognize quality. You become like a mountain. People may throw stones, but the mountain does not get angry or sad. It remains the mountain. Their disrespect becomes their problem, not yours. This internal foundation is what allows you to respond with calm calculation instead of emotional reaction. The second pillar, the observer's detachment. Emotional reactivity is the kryptonite of power. The sovereign learns to become a witness to their own interactions. When disrespect occurs, you do not jump into the emotional fray. You step back and observe the scene as if you are a scientist studying a fascinating specimen. This is not about becoming cold or unfeeling. It is about becoming strategic. By detaching, you gain clarity. You see the insecurity driving their insult, the fear behind their dominance play, the pathetic need for validation hidden in their mockery. This detachment is what allows you to choose the perfect response. The strategic silence, the disproportionate consequence, with the precision of a surgeon, not the clumsiness of a brawler. The third pillar, ruthless prioritization of your energy. Your time, attention, and mental peace are your most valuable currencies. The sovereign spends them wisely. Not every battle is worth fighting. Not every person is worth reforming. The ultimate power move is often to simply disengage and withdraw your energy permanently from those who have proven themselves unworthy of it. You are not a rehab center for the emotionally incompetent. Your mission is to build your empire, not to fix every broken person you meet. This means conducting constant cost-benefit analyses on your relationships and interactions. Does this person add value to my life? Does confronting this serve my long-term mission? If the answer is no, you walk away. Your silence and absence become your most eloquent statements. This framework turns the 5 protocols from techniques into reflexes. They become the natural expression of a person who knows their worth, operates from clarity, and guards their energy with ruthless discernment. Machiavelli's ultimate lesson was not about cruelty, it was about realism. He forced us to see the world as it is, not as we wish it to be. The world is a landscape of constant, subtle power dynamics. You can either be a passive participant, swept along by the currents of others' disrespect, or you can become the conscious architect of your own reality. The transformation we have discussed today is a journey from being a tenant in your own life, subject to the whims of your landlords, to becoming the owner. The owner sets the rules. The owner maintains the property. The owner decides who gets to stay and who must be evicted. This is your eviction notice to disrespect. From this moment forward, you are no longer a player in someone else's game. You are the rule maker of your own. You will walk into rooms with the quiet assurance that comes from knowing you have the tools to defend your peace. You will interact with people from a place of strength, not neediness. You will attract better allies and repel chronic predators. The path of the sovereign is not always the easiest path, but it is the only path that leads to lasting respect and authentic power. It begins with a single decision, the decision that you will no longer negotiate your worth. Now, go forth and build your kingdom. We have journeyed from the subtle whispers of disrespect to the unshakable pillars of the sovereign's mind. You have learned to see the invisible game, to respond not with emotion, but with strategy, and to build a reputation that precedes you like a shield. But there is a final frontier, a level beyond defense, beyond enforcement, beyond even sovereignty. This is the level of creation. Most people live their entire lives in a state of reaction. Someone is disrespectful, and they react with anger or submission. The weather of their inner world is determined by the external climate. They are puppets, and the world holds their strings. The protocols you've learned, the silence, the consistency, the consequences, were your first act of cutting those strings. You moved from being a puppet to being a fortress. A fortress is powerful, impenetrable, and safe. But a fortress, by its very nature, is static. It defines itself by what it keeps out. The ultimate evolution is to become not a fortress, but a sun. A sun does not concern itself with the rocks that float in its orbit. It does not get angry at the darkness. It simply, consistently, and powerfully shines. Its very nature commands the solar system. Planets align to its gravity. Life flourishes in its light. It creates its own reality. This is your final transition, from the sovereign of your defenses to the sun of your own reality. How does this look in practice? First, you stop policing disrespect and start radiating purpose. When your life is consumed by a mission, a passion, or a vision so compelling that it occupies your every waking thought, you simply do not have the bandwidth to micromanage every slight. The co-worker's dismissive comment isn't a personal attack, it's background noise. The relative's condescending remark becomes irrelevant data. You are too busy building, creating, and moving towards your North Star. People are drawn to this energy. They are captivated by your focus. Respect becomes a natural byproduct of your dedication, not something you have to constantly demand and enforce. Second, you reframe your identity from protector to architect. Ask yourself this profound question: who would I be if no one ever disrespected me again? Your answer should not be safe or at peace. Your answer should be the description of your most powerful, actualized self. The person running the business, creating the art, leading the team, building the legacy. That person is your true target. Every act of strategic silence, every enforced boundary, is not an end in itself. It is merely clearing the debris from the construction site so you can build that person's life. The disrespect is not the focus, it is the distraction. Your mission is the focus. You are no longer just protecting your dignity, you are architecting your destiny. Third, you graduate from Machiavelli to Michelangelo. Machiavelli gave us the ultimate guide to navigating the world as it is. He was a master of reality. But the highest art is not just to navigate reality, it is to shape it. Michelangelo looked at a block of raw, formless marble and saw the perfect David trapped within. His job was not to fight the marble, but to chip away everything that was not David. Your life, your relationships, your career, this is your marble. The disrespect, the tests, the boundary pushers, this is the excess stone. Your protocols are your chisel. You are no longer a warrior fighting enemies. You are a sculptor revealing a masterpiece. Every time you calmly enforce a boundary, you are not engaging in conflict. You are chipping away a piece of the formless rock that hides the magnificent sculpture of your sovereign self. This is the ultimate power move. To be so consumed by your own creation that you become indifferent to the petty games of those around you. They will sense this. They will feel the gravitational pull of your purpose. They will either align with your vision or they will drift away, irrelevant, into the void. The journey we began in fear and frustration ends here, in the quiet, unstoppable power of creation. You are not here to win arguments. You are not here to punish the foolish. You are not here to prove your worth. You are here to build your legacy. Everything else is just noise. The tools you now possess are not for building walls around a small, scared self. They are for clearing the land so you can build a cathedral. So go. Stop reacting. Start creating. The world does not need more people who are good at defending themselves. The world needs more people who are brave enough to build something worth defending. You are that person. Now go build. Everything you have learned until now is true. It is powerful. It will change the way you walk through the world. But it is incomplete. There is a final layer, a secret so counterintuitive and dangerous that Machiavelli himself only hinted at it in his private letters. A secret that separates the merely powerful from the truly untouchable. I warned you this was a dark path. But you are not ready for the twist waiting in the shadows. For the last 6 sections, we have operated on one core assumption, that disrespect is a test of power. That every slight is a probe, every joke a hidden blade, every interruption a challenge to your status. This is the map I have given you. But what if the map is wrong? What if the entire game is a distraction? Let me tell you a story about two kings. The first king, let's call him Aurelius, mastered everything we have discussed. He became a fortress. His silence was devastating. His consistency was legendary. He enforced his respect with cold, calculated precision. His court feared him. His enemies respected him. And he died alone in his marble palace, poisoned by his most loyal advisor, a man who could no longer bear the constant weight of the king's impeccable standards. The second king, a man history barely remembers named Lysander, took a different path. He was known for his occasional, startling vulnerability. He would sometimes let a slight slide from a young, ambitious courtier. He would, at times, laugh at a joke that was unmistakably at his expense. His advisors would whisper, "The king is weak today." But they were wrong. Lysander was not weak. He was a gardener. While King Aurelius saw his court as a battlefield to be dominated, King Lysander saw it as an ecosystem to be cultivated. His occasional, strategic weakness was not a failure to enforce his power. It was the deliberate pruning of a garden. This is the secret. The ultimate power is not in enforcing perfection, but in strategically managing imperfection. Here is the moral that will sound like madness. Sometimes, you must allow a small, controlled amount of disrespect to flourish, so you can see who is foolish enough to pluck the fruit. Think about that. Let it unravel everything you think you know. When you enforce every boundary with robotic consistency, you create a court of fearful, obedient subjects. But you also blind yourself. You never learn who the true snakes are because they are too afraid to strike. You live in a clean, sterile, and utterly fragile kingdom. But when you very rarely and with absolute calculation leave a single gate unguarded, you see who tries to sneak in. That co-worker you let interrupt you just once, to see if they would do it again with gusto. That friend you allowed to make a borderline joke, to see if they would escalate. That family member whose dismissive comment you let hang in the air, just to observe who in the room nodded in agreement. These are not failures of your protocol. They are intelligence operations. You are feeding a small, controlled piece of your power into the ecosystem to see which predators are brave enough to take the bait. The suspense is not in the confrontation. The real suspense is in the waiting. It is in the silent observation that follows your strategic lapse. It is in watching, with cold, detached curiosity, to see who reveals their true nature when they think the sovereign has looked away. This is the one rule Machiavelli was too cautious to write plainly. A perfect defense reveals nothing. A calculated weakness reveals everything. The true master doesn't just shut down disrespect. They use it. They weaponize it. They become the scientist in the lab of human nature, and the disrespectful are their unwitting test subjects. This is the highest, most dangerous level of the game. It requires a level of self-assurance so profound that you can afford to appear momentarily human. It requires the wisdom to know that not every weed needs to be pulled. Some should be left to grow just long enough to identify all the other weeds connected to its root system. So I leave you with this final, haunting question, a question that should linger in your mind and change how you interpret every interaction from this day forward. Is the disrespect you face a test of your power, or are you, in fact, testing them? The answer to that question is what separates the player from the puppet master. The game you thought you were playing is over. The real game has just begun.